Also getting a lot of attention, in fact, right around the world, is Melbourne satirist Mark Knight, who's received condemnation of his drawing of Serena Williams losing the US Open final. He says he's not a racist.
I'm not a racist. I've done cartoons supporting Adam Goodes in his booing situation. Is it going to affect me in the future? Maybe it will. Maybe I will have to pull my punches.
James, his job is to be satirical. That's the very essence of satire.
Of being a cartoonist.
Of being a cartoonist. You're from the States,
yeah.
and this has had a lot of condemnation from the United States. Has he perhaps pressed buttons that he wasn't aware of?
No, I think what's happened is that the buttons that he pushed is that Serena Williams became a hero when she had this whole fight with the umpire, and a lot of people who are, I think, politically progressive, feminist left decided she was a hero, but then as it came out that she, you know, her coach said, well, we did violate the rules, and people looked at what she did, then they said, well, we've got to find some other sort of target for our outrage about what happened, and that became Mark Knight. Now,
I like this guy already. Straight down the line, speaks the truth.
Mark Knight is, you know, a very funny cartoonist. He's sharp, he's witty, and he insults everybody. 3 days ago, he insulted Nick Kyrgios. He also insulted white rednecks who booed Adam Goodes. So he is, you know, an equal opportunity offender. And it's so ridiculous to me, Georgie, because 3 years ago, we were all sitting around talking about how horrible it was that, you know, in Paris, the Charlie Hebdo shooting, and we all said cartoonists have a right to push the boat out there
as speech.
Freedom of speech, and their pen is mightier than any sword. And now, 3 years later, a bunch of self-appointed progressive Twitter pests have all decided to say, no, you know what, you can't draw some woman who's making hundreds of millions of dollars a year who behaved like an absolute infant and threw an absolute tantrum at the US Open and denied another woman who actually happened to be of mixed Haitian-Japanese heritage, so, you know, hardly a race issue there, of her own moment in the sun. So
that's brilliant, because I was actually thinking about Charlie Hebdo the other day, and I was going to do a video on it. And in fact, with the Charlie Hebdo cartoon, you know, I consider that was, you know, borderline offensive, because you've got to respect, you know, the Muslim religion when they, you know, they can't draw the Prophet Muhammad. So I thought that was, you know, of course, you know, I shouldn't have shot up the office, but, you know, I could understand the outrage there. So, you know, perspective, guys, you know, this is, you know, a sports person versus offending a whole religion.
I think, you know, Mark Knight should not pull his punches, and I think no cartoonist should, just because a bunch of people on Twitter have decided that this is a terrible thing.
But it's more than just a bunch of people, and the level of vitriol with this is really extreme. So what's that about?
Well, that's about social media. I mean, that's about how these Twitter mobs get together and they decide to feed off each other. And, hey, I can feel good about myself by attacking Mark Knight anonymously by keyboard, and then I'll retweet what you've just said, and it just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. But the thing is, though, that much of what happens on Twitter, that's not the real world. And people who decide to get offended about things are about the last people we should be listening to, because what, are we going to say now that just because Serena Williams is black, there's no reason, there's no way that we can depict her when she has behaved in a way that I think a lot of people and a lot of your viewers would say deserves to be called out?
Yeah, and we have to be mindful of people's mental health, because he's now he's had death threats.
Yeah.
He's got security guards outside his house, and he's got 2 children.
And it's the same thing. And it's the same thing that happened to Bill Leak, another cartoonist, a couple of years ago. So, you know, this guy is a suburban guy, columnist for a Melbourne newspaper, and around the world we've just decided that we're going to destroy him because we didn't like one drawing he made?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I couldn't have summed it up any better, actually, so that's why I wasn't commentating so much in this video, because I thought this guy did a great job of just basically thinking along the same lines as me. He's much more articulate, though, isn't he? That's cool. I'll get better at this, and so stay tuned. Each video I should get better at commentating on these sort of things and being more comfortable in front of the camera, and hopefully we've got some great more videos to come in the next few days. Okay, cheers guys.